So, according to Aviation Safety Network, ASN Wikibase occurrence number 351655, that's your website's maybe file number to record all the incidents. So they reported that Monday 12 February 2024, PAC MFI 395 Super Mushshak, owner operator Pakistan Air Force, and fatalities 0, occupants 2, aircraft damage substantial, and location Nowshera, Pakistan, which is located in K.P.K Province of Pakistan. Phase unknown, okay, I will tell you. Nature military, yes. Departure airport Risalpur, PF station OPRS. RS means Risalpur. And destination airport is also Risalpur, PF station OPRS. And they have a good disclaimer that information is only available from news, social media, or unofficial sources. And the narrative is the Super Mushshak suffered a nose gear collapse during a forced landing in a field. So they mentioned the source, and the source was https://historyofpia.com/forum/view-topic.php ? T equals 32374. So I clicked on that one. And breaking news was a Mushshak trainer aircraft of Pakistan Air Force, which took off from Risalpur Askar Khan Academy. Askar Khan was a chief of Army Air Staff in the 70s. Developed a technical glitch, but the pilot managed to conduct an emergency landing in fields in Nowshera. Both the pilots and co-pilots are safe, alhamdulillah. So that was a Twitter handle that posted, name is Sajjawal Rana at Sajju_302. So that was the person who reported the incident first. And this website, Aviation Safety, took it from there, and they confirmed with the PIA forums. So history of PIA forums, they also reported PAF Super Mushshak makes forced landing near Nowshera. And the person who sent the picture is the site admin, Abbas Ali. And he had 51,945 posts. He joined on Thursday, August 5th, 2014. So he's the admin of the page. And he showed a picture of an aircraft with nose touching the ground and tail up in the air. Everything looks intact to me. Wings are okay, canopy is open, so it means pilot didn't eject. The Super Mushshak has ejection seats. And the propeller is also in a good condition. So the aircraft actually landed perfectly well. Kudos to the pilots. So PIA forums, they reported a Pakistani Air Force PAF MFI 395 Super Mushshak basic training aircraft, after experiencing technical problem, made a forced landing in an open field near Nowshera. Aircraft nose gear separated, collapsed during the forced landing. Both occupants, pilots of the aircraft remained safe in the incident. The aircraft was on routine training flight from PF Academy Askar Khan. Okay, so now let's break it down. So I will show the resources. First of all, there's my introduction. Ex-aviation cadet Super Mushshak, enrolled in 1993 December, and took a release from the Air Force in 1996 for my personal reasons, and flown this particular aircraft, but the lower version. We had those F-Code Lee engines. It was the basic Mushshak, the initial one, and Pakistan upgraded to Super Mushshak, upgraded the engines and upgraded everything. So it's even then, back then, like 30 years ago, it was one of the best propellers in the world. So Super Mushshak, I'm sure, is the super best. Now, we also faced during our cadetship these kind of problems, and no forced landings, but one of my course mate, Flight Lieutenant Tosif, he died on the same MFI 17, not the Super Mushshak, but before that one. He gave his life on the line of duty, and he forced landed, but the aircraft was on fire and it exploded because the fuel tanks, they got the fire, but the student pilot was safe. So that happens. Now, what would have happened here? So normally, there's another guy I've also mentioned in before in my videos named Amram, AMRAM, and he's very up to date about Pakistan Air Force information. So I always follow him as well. But he gives his information in our national language, Urdu. Sorry. And I think that it should be worldwide. So some of the contents are taken from him, some from the websites. He posted a picture of the pilot, the cadet. The cadet was wearing 4 stripes and red stripes. That means he belonged to the Primary Flying Training Wing 2, because Wing 2 is red and Wing 1 is blue. And he was wearing 4 tapes. That means he's in the 6th semester, because in my previous videos I've told the hierarchy of cadets. We were half tape after saluting test, 1 tape after in the 2nd semester, then 2 tapes in the 3rd semester, 2.5 tapes in the 4th semester, 3 tapes in the 5th semester, and 4 tapes in the 6th semester. In the last semester, normally 7 semesters, we wear the final term, the big stripe, and different colors, 4 colors: blue, red, green, and yellow. Blue and red are representing Squadron 1 and 2. They all belong to Squadron 1, Wing 1. And then green and yellow, they belong to Squadron 3 and 4 respectively, and they belong to Wing 2. So 2 separate wings, 1 academy, 2 separate wings, and 2 squadrons under each wing. So in PFT, the same thing. PFT only has 2 wings, and BFT, Basic Flying Training, also has 2 wings only. And PFT1, they wear blue stripes, and PFT2 and BFT2, they wear red stripes. So the guy is in his 6th semester. Normally the flying starts in the 5th semester, and apart from the short courses, that was from the short course. So my flying started in the 3rd semester. So because we were 2.5 year course, but normally it's 3.5 years, and I heard that it's been 3 years now, and final year is for the FCUs included in that. Well, anyhow, that's long detail. I will come up with that in details later. So now, let's suppose he's in his 6th term, the cadet, and he is now. Yes, the location of the crash is Nowshera. We don't fly over Nowshera, so I think it was a navigation mission, a nav mission, because for nav missions we do fly over Nowshera and go to Kamra Air Base, and just to attack Rawalpindi and stuff like that, Peshawar, all these places. So it'd probably be a navigational mission. Now what happens, initially you fly solo, circuit solo, and you do your choke solos, your consolidation phase. Your first 21 hours are flown within the circuit, and then you go for general flying all the way up till your CD 50, which is the 50th hour, and you get your final landing test, and then you fly your navigation, and then you fly your instrument flying, vice versa. I mean, it could be anything first. So on Mushshak, that started from our course onwards, by the way. Well, I was shifted to K8, so I didn't fly navigation and instrument flying on Mushshak. I did on T-37s. So I think the cadet was on a nav mission with his instructor, and he must have an experience of 60 to 70 hours by now, if I'm not wrong. 60 to 70 hours of flying experience. That's it. That's his whole experience. But can he land this aircraft in the field? Yes, he can, because we are trained to follow the we call it SFO landing, which is simulated flame out landing. Which is what is a simulated flame out landing. It's that we simulate that the engine has flamed out. Now, engine cannot flame out if you get the power to 0. It's not easy to get it back to 100% again. So we reduce the power back to 20% and get the flaps full down. So that gives the same kind of speed with a proper nose down movement. Yeah, nose down, pitch down movement, and you get around 80 knots on the old Mushshak. So you have to maintain that 80 knots, and you have a let down pattern, and you land on the runway. So, or whatever your landing field is. But I mean, since our circuit solo and the consolidation phase, which is we call it choke solo, pilots never land normally. There's no normal landing. It's always some emergency, and you're dealing with that one. I mean, it's just all simulations. So most of the time we land through SFO. So by 75 hours, if I'm not wrong, he must have practiced that landing 50 times, which is, imagine, I mean, if you're a CPL holder, how many times have you practiced engine flame out, simulated engine flame out? So he must have practiced at least 50 times. So I'm not talking about this instructor pilot, he must have, I mean, beyond your imagination experience, but this student pilot, if he was on a solo, he could have landed that aircraft safely, like the way he did. But what happened? Yeah. So for me, it's an engine failure. I'm 100% sure. It's not partial engine power loss. It's full engine lost thrust, and it had to land emergency. It happens, very common but Pakistan safety measures are very high. So this is a normal routine. During our time, as I said, in whatever I've heard, Mushshaks have been crashed only a few times, mostly due to bad weather. Technical problems. It's a very stable aircraft, and it can glide at the rate of, I think, 2,000 feet per minute, with speed maintaining 80 knots. So perfect glider and a perfect aircraft to learn maneuvers, and of course the landings. So in a similar flame out, just as I said before, what do we do when we practice? Power down to 20%, flaps full down, and then we aim towards the touchdown point. And there are some rituals which I can't say. We need to see that if we could go to the touchdown point and land easily, if any levels, any readings, any markings are below that, we try to make the measurements, amendments. So here they have landed. I think they have landed beautifully. And in the end, what would have happened? Let me recap. Probably a nav mission to Akora Khatak or to the Kamra Base or Chirat Hills. Normally that's our navigational routes. Engine failed. Can't be a bird hit. I didn't see any damage of the birds. Canopy was clean. The propellers, the two blades in front, clean. No damage at all, because you could see in the picture. And wings intact, elevator, rudder, everything is intact. Fuselage is great. Only the front wheel. So this is, it's the rainy season in that area, and that area is famous for rice and corn and wheat too. So probably the rice has been harvested already. So it's the wheat field, and it's pretty wet. That's why when the aircraft lands on the two rear gears, the pressure is distributed on two gears, right? But as soon as the front nose touches, now the pressure is among three wheels. But and the aircraft has a tendency to pitch forward, so the wheel got into the muddy ground, and that brought probably a little bit of damage to the nose gear, which is repairable. This aircraft will be our engineers and staff, the corporal techs, the senior techs, the junior techs. They are very professional in recovering these things quicker than anyone can even imagine. So the aircraft will be on its wheels in, let's say, 15 days tops. That's it. So I think when they were coming for landing, so either they touched the nose first, which is pretty much possible. In a real flame out, in a real engine failure, you try to keep your nose up. But again, depends on, because if you see the distance from Bersalpur to the crash site, it's not much distance. So maybe the aircraft was in a takeoff phase and didn't get to the height which it required to, start its journey of navigation or whatever it was. So probably they got when they were in ascending phase, at that time they got this engine failure. So the speed when the landing speed and the ascending speed and the descending speed is the same, 80 knots. We maintain 80 knots on Mushshak. So if it was already at 80 knots, it could never have gained any further height, because after 80 knots it's gonna drop the nose, and then the stall speed, which is 60 knots, is gonna reach, and then the aircraft is gonna fall like a stone. So they were in ascent, of course, and once they reached, once the engines failed, one engine, when it failed, now normally if you're certain level, you're flying at around 100 to 110 knots. So when we have the warning of the engine failure, we quickly convert the speed into height. So as soon as we touch 80, we drop the nose down. So we can gain around 1,000 or 2,000 feet, which is enough for us to think where to land, what to do, which is enough for a fighter pilot to, calculate 2,000 or 3,000 feet is more than enough for any plane to be landed on the ground. So they were already in a ascending phase, 80 knots. No, they can't go further, engine failed, so they dropped the nose right down. So I assume they were between 2,000 to 3,000 feet. Now, once you are at 2,000 to 3,000 feet and you're away from the runway, and now you can't turn, because in a turn this would be a downfall all the time, and even if you maintain 30 degree bank, you would overshoot the runway. Not even overshoot, you won't be even close to the runway. So you can't have a steep turn, turn the aircraft back. No, that's just a engine flame out we're talking about. So you have to be very serious. So they just went straight ahead. That's what we were told most of the time when we get the aircraft into the air. And if during the climbing phase we just took off, anything happens, do not attempt to land back. Go in front and land in the fields. We had fields in front of the runway where I think this crash happened. So they were at that height, so then they had ample lot of time to descend and check out nice fields which looks leveled, because it would never be leveled. It would be plowed by the tractors, or even that small thing matters. Because one of my course mates, he pulled out a stunt, and actually when he landed, after landing, he was on choke solo. When he landed, one of his brake fluid, because brakes are on the rudders, so one of the brake fluid got empty, no brake fluids. So, and the other one was intact. So once you land, touchdown, for the full stop landing, you apply the pressure onto both rudders, and that's what he did. But one had no brakes and one applied the brakes. So what the aircraft did on the runway, we were standing there watching the landings just to learn. We saw it flipped and it got toppled upside down. So, that was just another Mushshak incident which happened in front of our eyes. So we yelled, and then he's safe, he's not flying commercially. He couldn't continue flying because he was too scared for a 18, 19-year-old boy, getting into major disaster of an air crash and surviving that one. That's a big trauma. So he couldn't continue flying, but he joined commercial flying, and since then he's a I think Airbus 320 pilot now. So So that's what has happened. The surface was not equal, so that's why the front nose of the aircraft went into the muddy, what you call ground. So yeah, there's one more thing. So once, let's suppose this is the ground. Once we land, we try to be as smooth as we can. We try to hold pressure as much as we can without stalling the aircraft, and because that's going to give a smooth touch. But we can hold it till 40 knots. 40 knots of ground speed on the ground, not the ground speed. It's still the air speed, but on the ground. But once it reaches to 40 knots, then the nose of the aircraft, it can't sustain the thrust, it can't sustain its pitch up position, and it drops like this. That's what has happened, and the aircraft, we have harnesses for that, so not a big harm. So anyhow, both the pilots are safe, the cadet is safe, and the instructor pilot is safe, so that's what we expect, and that's what we're looking for. Any further information I will share with all of you, so see you next time. Allah Hafiz.